Like the more weight you have to lose, the faster you can lose it without losing muscle. But then the leaner you get, the slower you want to lose it because the more likely you are of losing muscle. Hello. So I want to talk about how much weight that any person can lose in a week. All right. So before I get into that, the first thing, obviously, anything that I put out there, I want to make sure that I'm not just thinking about the, losing weight or, getting shredded or toned or whatever. It's also important to make sure that you're doing things in a healthy way, because there's definitely an unhealthy way to do it. And if that's the case, all you got to do is just starve yourself. Not what I would suggest, right? So how much weight can you lose in a week in a healthy way? So when I work with people, again, this depends on where you're at, but when somebody comes on to our program, typically in their first week, they lose a lot more than the remaining weeks. Obviously, if it depends on where they're at. If they were eating a whole bunch of junk food and then they just jump into our program, obviously they're going to lose a lot. We've had people lose up to 10 pounds, right, in their first week. But again, it depends on how much weight you have to lose too. The more weight you have, the faster you can lose it without losing your muscle. But let's say after that first initial week where you drop usually a significant more amount of weight compared to the weeks that follow. If you're not losing at least 1 pound per week, then you're not doing something right. Okay, 1 pound per week is not a lot and is actually a good target to reach. Okay, honestly, if you're not able to hit 1 pound per week, then there's something up with your training, there's something up with your nutrition, there's something possibly those are the two main things. You typically, if you're getting a lack of sleep, that will affect probably your behaviors that may lead to you overeating, and therefore it goes back to your nutrition being the issue. Or if you're like excessively training and you're not consuming enough food and your body's not recovering, it's just breaking down, at which point it may lead to less weight loss. But 1 pound per week is seriously 100% doable. That's on the lower end. I believe for women, it's around like 0.75 pounds per week. So 3/4 of a pound. For men, usually it's a little bit higher, but 1 pound is a really good target to reach every week. We've had people who lose up to a little over 3 pounds per week. That's pretty aggressive. You got to think of it this way. Again, like the more weight you have to lose, the faster you can lose it without losing muscle. But then the leaner you get, the slower you want to lose it because the more likely you are of losing muscle. And you don't want to lose muscle because it just makes weight loss a lot harder. The more muscle you have, just standing around, you're burning more calories just by having more muscle compared to if you don't. So also, if you ever see people lose weight and then they almost look kind of like sick, that's usually because they're not eating enough food and they lost a lot of muscle. So by eating the proper amount, you'll lose mainly fat. So 1 pound per week is what I would recommend. 1 to 2 pounds is really good on average throughout the period of time that you are dieting and training for whatever your weight loss goal is. So I hope that helps you. Set your targets, because if you don't set targets, then you don't, like, what strategies can you apply if you don't know the target? By having that target, so if I got to lose 1 pound per week, now you can create a strategy to make sure that you get to that target by the end of the week. All right. Hope that helps. See you next time.